So we're gonna take a walk through the landscape. This is sort of the bottom of the micro watershed. Obviously a cement culvert. This drops down, winds its way through the landscape. I have walked down there before, around here, and then dumps into here. You can see these willow trees, indication, arroyo willows, indication that water does flow. And then a few miles over, there's the ocean, where you see this marine layer, these clouds. It's over the ocean. But bottom of the micro watershed, it's right here. This is just a straight culvert that shoots down off the side of the hill. They put large boulders in here years ago. You can see them down here, but there was an erosion gully, and you can't see it now. It's repaired itself sort of nicely because all this organic material that you can hear, I kept piling it on here to soften the runoff when we move these favas. But you can see this undercutting of the cement culvert. It no longer has a straight edge. It's being eaten away and undercut. So putting this organic material has slowed the water, allowed it to drop down and not just cut everything. It's 3 foot deep, this ravine that goes all the way down the hill, and it's going up this way, undercutting. I mean, you can see when we walk up the culvert how it's cracking and it's opened up. I mean, it's even trapped sediment, and so things are growing through. But yeah, it's undercutting. Eventually this erosion moves uphill, but clearly a really poor design. Just a straight shot over a hill. But this is indicating that water does flow in this area. You can see evidence of more green where the water flows. This is about a ½ acre. We'll walk through it, but water does flow here. There's green but less vegetation than here. This is very small. Multiple years ago I kind of did a little intervention, but this is a little bowl, and it holds water, slows it further instead of running straight out. And here's another little miniature bowl and dam. It's better for grass to kind of strengthen this thing. Here's a little spillway, but I think this is this is some sort of clover, probably burr clover, I think, probably. But you can see the path of water. It's greener. Flows through here. Here's the low spot. I do have some more holes and interventions in here. You can see where it's a lot more lush. We do have some flow over here. This is artificial, this little hill. When they built this neighborhood back here, they cut in over here and they shaped this. There's a fence right here. They put a berm along here. This is an artificial berm right there. Artificial berm, and then it ends. So they did a lot of earthworks back here, But anyways, a few years ago, all this would run off. This sand, it's almost pure sand. It's 97, 98% sand. Would flow down here. Did a little intervention. I put a little berm, slow it, and send it here. And there's older footage of this is just sand. Now this is native deerweed. California sagebrush and buckwheat right here, so we got some natives. But this is regreened because of the slowing of water. This used to be like an alluvial fan. You can still see some evidence but it would just come down and fan out right here, and it was pure sand. But since it's regreened and nature has taken over, some natives, some non-natives, this was another little erosion path right here, but since it's regreened, I took dead branches of willows like this material, and I made like ladders almost on contour. Not exactly, it wasn't measured, it just slowed all the sand down and things could plant themselves. And now this whole thing is like green, it's moving upwards. That's interesting, seeing how it's moving upwards. I did a larger intervention. It'd run here, and then it would intercept water like this before it would come straight down and deposit a lot of sand. But the water running off of this has really been like slowed and spread over here, so it's actually a pretty drastic difference. The low point for the main water course is here. This flows in heavy events, so there's a nice big hole there filled with organic material. A lot of this is like grown over and covered, but there's a lot of like slowing mechanisms of water. The ice plant, it's escaped from the neighborhoods and stuff. Not a native here. Some people consider it invasive, but it is doing the job. If this wasn't here, then you probably would have worse erosion. There's more. You can see again where the water flows, a lot more moisture present where you have these lush pockets. You know, more like structures to slow water. There's little holes, there's like not analog beaver dams, but just putting things in the path of water to slow it down. And this isn't going to get a tremendous amount of water, but this stuff is still slowing it down. I think this is interesting. You can actually see where there's water underground right now. I think this is like a clear picture, sort of a triangle of moisture. And so water falls down these hills, comes here. I've made a little intervention. I noticed that this is where water flows over the path. It's hard to tell, but where my head is, my shadow, this is a little, you know, a little miniature pond. It's only like that big, and then there's a tiny little swale that shoots this way, captures water. It's hard to see, but there's a little spillway here, undisturbed ground. This swale goes to here, and then here's a tiny little pond, probably like almost a foot deep. I planted a native oak on the downhill side of this little thing. It's a little swale that goes in towards the willow, so the willow can get some extra water. So it's a few little interventions for reading the landscape. But yeah, you can see how much moisture is still here. Let's not fall in this little dam. This is to the neighborhood. This is a trail it gets ridden on. You can see where you know, water does collect. You can see these tire tracks, bike tracks, these ruts. It's almost pure sand here. This used to be the bottom of the ocean, but it's probably where you're gonna find the majority of the clay. If you're looking for this is where it's gonna, you know, sort of like a natural silt trap right here. This is a pepper tree. It's not native to California, but it planted itself. And you can see it's, you know, in a landscape that doesn't have very many trees. Also that willow, it's probably getting water from irrigation because it probably couldn't live there otherwise. But anyways, this landscape doesn't have a lot of trees, but this is where water does accumulate, right here. And we have, you know, a hill, these pathways that are completely compacted that send water right here. And I have dug little holes in here, shovel scoops, not like big. This would be like good for like a little miniature pond to feed a tree here, or this tree. But yeah, this is the top of the catchment, and you know, water's flowing here, so it's more green. You know, we do have erosion. It's probably hard to tell. We do have erosion. It's far enough away from rain where you're not seeing these little cuts because the sand has filled in. But you know, it's hard. You can't do anything. And then it's loose. This is where there's a cut, and so you can follow where the water does go by where the loose sand is. You can see it clearly after the rain. But yeah, water's flowing here. It's more lush. This is sort of the top of the catchment. All this is quite compact. When they built the neighborhood over here, this got bulldozed and all sorts of fun stuff. The water here doesn't go into this half-acre catchment, but this is sort of the top of the catchment right here. Then you sort of go over the hill on the other side. But yeah, there we go.